8:58 on your Wednesday. Thanks for waking up, joining us here on The Big Picture on this. It's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday.
Yeah.
You're right. Had to check myself for a second.
I know.
There.
I woke up this morning and I thought it was Saturday, and was sorely disappointed.
The rain that moved through, boy, that makes me sad.
Yeah.
Collin, that's a terrible way to start the day,
Yeah.
thinking it was Saturday.
Oh, yeah. It was rough,
You
but
got
only a
three
couple more days
at that point. Wednesday,
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday.
So we want to dive right into what we're talking about this morning.
Let's not waste a moment. Let's talk about Dublin redistricting. This has got to be one of the most contentious issues we are covering right now in Central Ohio. So we decided to go to the source. We have Superintendent Dr. John Marchhausen with Dublin City Schools joining us now because, wow, I know you have been through redistricting before as a longtime superintendent in the area, not just in Dublin. Did you expect it to get this heated in the process?
I think we knew that this would engender a lot of emotion. In Dublin, when you look at a community as diverse as ours and the process that we were going to go through, I think we knew it was going to create some significant emotions. I don't think we knew it was going to be this intense. And I think your word choice there is perfect. This has been intense.
Intense, contentious. So here's the deal. There are 3 high schools in Dublin. There's been significant growth in the Dublin area. And so we're going to have to move students so that one school is not busting at the seams. We need to kind of move some students around. At this point, the board is going to meet next week on the 21st to vote on the criteria before sending it to an outside consultant to develop a proposed map for the 27-28 school year. And then June 29th, a map is expected to be presented. Is that the correct timeline of what we're working with?
Yeah, that's the correct timeline. Let me go back for a second if I can. Our voters have twice approved to put an addition on Scioto High School. Mm-hmm. The 2018 levy campaign included additions on both Jerome and Scioto to deal with growth in 2018. And then COVID hit. And then Jerome Village grew more rapidly than we thought it would. So in 2021, the decision was made, rather than putting on 2 additions, let's just add on to Jerome. At the time, Jerome had 24 modular classrooms. Mm-hmm. Then again in 23, the voters chose to put an addition on Scioto High School. So we've been through 2 levy campaigns. We've been through 2 master facilities plans. And at each step, it's been, let's add on to Scioto so we can balance the enrollment in all 3 schools. And now we're kind of at that flashpoint. Where,
we have to.
The addition's there. We've
it.
spent $50 million. Mm-hmm. The addition's beautiful. It's ready to be opened in August of this year. And how do we get the students over there to stop Jerome High School from getting to 24, 25, 2,600 students and get those high schools all balanced in about the 2,000 student area? So that's really the history of how we got here.
Okay.
And now it's up to us as leaders to say, who are the areas, what are the areas that are going to get moved that allows this balance to take place.
And so last year, the redistricting process started. There were 3 maps. I'm a Dublin mom, and my son would be moved from Jerome to Kaufman based on all 3 maps. And then you paused the process in October. What was the moment that caused you to say, we've got to stop this for a second?
The way our board policy reads and the way Ohio Revised Code reads is the superintendent assigns students to the schools where they go to school. And I took that challenge very seriously, and I worked with Cropper GIS to develop those maps and to put those maps forward to the community. During the process, when community members became concerned, they reached out to their elected officials, the school board, and said, we don't think this is a decision that should be done by just one person. This is too significant. We want the board to have input. And during the time in September and October, our school board said, you know what? We want to have more input in the process as the elected officials. So we stopped and we said, we're going to do this, kind of reverse engineer this. We're going to get all the community input first. So we did this time we did a series of focus groups we did a scientific community poll.
Surveys, yes.
And we did voluntary surveys. And the elected officials said, we want to be the ones to set the criteria. So as you mentioned earlier, they're working on a resolution now. We had a first reading on Monday. We're going to have a final reading and hopefully a vote on Thursday, the 21st. And then the board will give me, as the superintendent, here are the criteria that we want you to do redistricting by. So our elected officials said, we want a seat at the table in this decision-making process. So that's how we got to here.
Okay.
Once they give me the criteria, then it once again falls back on my shoulders.
Yes.
And the firm that will be drafting the maps.
That outside
The
firm.
outside
Is
firm.
there going to be more than one map to be released? There will just be one map this time.
Map. When we say maps, one of the things that's in the resolution right now is we may make some changes to middle school attendance boundaries so that the middle school feeder patterns to the high school feeder patterns make sense for the new high school attendance boundaries.
Okay.
So I anticipate there being some middle school redistricting that will align with the high school redistricting so that this can be a decade-long solution. So this is not something we have to go back and do again.
In just a couple of years.
Yes.
So first of all, the rumor mill is, I mean, in high gear. I've never seen anything like it. Everywhere I go, and I'm sure you see that too, everywhere you go, people want to know. So first of all, is there a secret map? Is there a secret map out there? Because everybody that I know knows someone who says they've seen something. Is there a map?
There are no maps, and the maps from the first process are no longer part of any conversations.
Wiped out, starting from scratch.
People will say things about planning blocks. Those were Cropper GIS's tools. When Cropper created the maps last time, we don't have planning blocks. We don't have any maps at this time. Anyone who says they've seen a map is being creative with the truth, because there are no maps, and none of the board members have drawn maps, and I certainly do not have a map.
So in the rumor process, one of the most heated rumors that we've heard recently is when the police chief of Shawnee Hills came out, made a statement about a rumored plan to move students from the Jerome area, the north side, to Scioto, and said, this is a no-go, this won't work because of transportation and safety. And why would he speak to that if there is no map yet?
Well, and I had met with the mayor and the sheriff, police chief of Shawnee Hills back in August. I heard their concerns about the traffic that goes across the O'Shaughnessy Reservoir there on the Glick Road Bridge. We certainly take that into account. I will share that with the firm that makes maps. We've also engaged in large-scale traffic studies. We have members of our community who have done their own traffic studies and sent them to us. The firm that does the map making will also be looking at traffic studies. So certainly the voice of an elected official or a law enforcement officer in one area of our district is important. It's also important to recognize that because of the size of the Dublin City Schools, we're in 3 counties, we're in multiple townships. We work with Union County Sheriff, Dublin Police, Columbus Police, Franklin County Sheriff, Delaware County Sheriff, and all of those different municipalities have different needs that serve their constituents. And they all have perspectives from their seat in which they serve. So of course we will take that into account, but we're also connecting and talking with folks in a lot of different places to get information.
That's a lot of different factions that need a voice in the process.
Yes.
We've seen a legal letter that was reportedly sent to the district right before the process was paused last year, alleging race and socioeconomic factors in this rezoning, they say unconstitutionally, among other concerns. How impactful was the language? Was that language in the pause, and how important was that in the process to say, okay, how are we going to do this differently in this new phase?
I think when we get any letter from an outside legal firm that has concerns about how the district is operating, we immediately get with our legal counsel. And again, there are a lot of different voices and a lot of different opinions on how we should be doing this. And that letter was shared with our legal counsel. That was not the impetus for the pause. The impetus for the pause was the board wanting there to be more input and more voice from our community before we moved forward with an important decision like this.
We are getting lots of voices from the community at this point.
There was a time in public schools where we said, we really wish people would come to meetings, and we really wish we could get the public engaged with our schools. And I think we should have prefaced that for positive things, for things that we're sharing all the amazing things that are happening in our classrooms, and now we're just moving along through this redistricting process.
It's a different focus when the parents show up. So how much input will the parents have when the map comes out in June?
Our plan right now, my plan right now, is we have all the input that's already been given. The board is synthesizing that input and turning that into a resolution. I'm going to give that to a map making firm, and my hope is on the 29th we will reveal a map. And that map will be the map, and we'll be done with the process, and we'll move forward.
And we talk about some of the outlines of this as drawing these new lines to affect the fewest amount of students as possible, including those non-transportable students, those who already live too close to be bused. Is there a number in mind right now of how many Dublin City School students this will, in the end, affect?
Well, I think if we look at the smallest number possible, the ultimate goal is over the 4-year transition to get 600 students from out of Jerome High School and to increase the enrollment at Scioto High School by about 600 students. You could move Jerome to Kaufman, then Kaufman to Scioto. You could move Jerome directly to Scioto. It could be a combination of those. So I think when a firm looks at how are we going to create a map that impacts the least number of students, you also then need to look at the middle schools. Are middle school students going to need to be redistricted based on the number of high school students that are being redistricted? So I would anticipate when we provide a map to the community on June 29th, being able to say, this is the map that the map maker presented. Here's how many students are being moved in total. It's X number of students in middle schools. It's X number of students in high schools. And here's how this map met the criteria that the board outlined for us to follow.
Parents, there are a lot of parents out there who interpret the surveys that you've put out from the district as appearing to craft the beginning of a Jerome to Scioto movement and not Jerome to Kaufman, Kaufman to Scioto. So do you think that's where the rumors are coming from, the loudest voices currently? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think as we move through the process, we started in early February with a board retreat where the board identified a series of issues that were important to the board. Those issues then were part of focus groups. From the focus groups, if there was clear consensus, we kind of started taking things off the table. And then there was a survey by Fallon Research. That was a scientific survey with a margin of error of about 4%. As you look at that, we were able to then narrow down the choices a little more. So when questions were asked and answered, they were removed from the process because we didn't need to keep relitigating them. So when we got to the end, we really were asking only a few questions because those were the important issues that had been left unanswered. So that's why as people started to see where this was going, as we went through each process, there was a little bit more clear direction. And now I think the board is to a point where the board, in terms of the decision that they provide to me, is it moving the least number of students? Is that what's most important? Or is it moving students that are closest to the school buildings in that proximity? Is that the most important? Because those can be competing factors. And that's the direction I'm looking to the Board of Education to provide to me, so I can convey that to the firm that will be ultimately creating the maps.
So we've focused on high school students in this redistricting process, and then you mentioned the middle school. Has that come up much? Because I feel like the movement of middle school students hasn't really been a big factor in this process so far.
In our early surveys, it was clear from the community feedback that if you have to adjust middle schools to match the high school attendance zones better, go ahead and do that. So that was one of those early processes that let's get our middle schools aligned with our high schools so cohorts of students can stay together. Throughout this process, that was a theme that continued to come up. was I want my kid to go to middle school with the same students that they go to high school. Those
Right.
peer groups, those friend groups are so important. We actually heard about it from elementary to middle school from some of our neighborhoods. So as we look at this process, getting middle schools right to feed high schools correctly is important. And I believe the board has reached consensus where they've said they don't want any of our middle schools split more than twice. That is in the draft resolution, which would mean that we wouldn't have a middle school that sends kids to all 3 high schools. So as we go through this, that's clear direction that the community gave the board listened, the board gives that clear direction to me, and then I work with the firm to make sure the map ultimately meets the will of the board.
So May 21st, next school board meeting, June 29th, the map is expected to be presented. What's your message to the parents out there about this process, what you want them to know?
Well, there are times as superintendent, you stay up at night and you can't go to sleep because there are heavy issues. This issue has created a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety for many of us. But at the end of the day, I know, and I have no doubt at all, 5 years from now, Dublin will be a stronger school district and all of the students at all 3 high schools will be getting a Dublin quality education. This has created anxiety for people, but I believe our teachers, our schools, the opportunities that we provide in Dublin are elite at all 3 high schools, and it's going to be okay. So if we can get through this, we put this to bed, we get the kids where they need to be, and we'll be in a much better place.
All right.
Dr. John Marchesen, we really appreciate you coming in. Will you come back and chat with us more about this in the next step of the process?
Sure. Happy to come back with you after the maps are done and talk about how we got here and talk about how we're moving forward.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us here on The Big Picture. All right. Coming up next, Tyvis Powell joins us. We'll be right back. It is 9:17. Tyvis, welcome in.
How y'all doing today?
Oh, not so bad.
Well, he's doing okay, but he thought it was Saturday
I
when he
did.
woke up today.
I did. When you were like,
Why?
hey, it's Wednesday. I don't know. I woke up in the middle of the night last night, or what is my night? And
It's like 9 o'clock at night.
yeah, and I was like, oh, when I get up, it's Saturday. I don't have to get up at that 2:30 alarm,
Dude, and then it's Wednesday.
Yeah, and then it finally set in that it's just Wednesday.
You got to lift this man's spirits,
Yeah.
Travis.
You
I was like, I got
you're
2
at
more
the
days.
halfway point.
Yeah.
Think about it like how I think about it. When I wake up, because I don't get up at 2:30, I get a couple more hours. I get up at 4:45. When my alarm goes off, I always think, I only got to do it 2 more times this week. Just 2 more.
Yeah.
Tomorrow,
2 more.
Thursday or Friday, and then that's it. I can sleep in.
I do not know what got into me that would have caused me to think it was
you were
Saturday,
way
but I
ahead of
was
yourself.
way off on that one. Oh, goodness.
But you were in a good mood because we've got a big game today.
Yes.
Are you feeling hopeful?
This game defines the series to me because I think the Cavs haven't won on the road.
Yeah.
And if the Pistons win, then that means they'll probably come back to Cleveland. Cavs will make it 7, but they got to go back to Detroit, and I think Detroit wins. I think if the Cavs win, which they've been playing really well, I believe the Cavs have figured out the Pistons. I really do. Because Cade isn't having the great games that he usually has. Jalen Duren has been good, but he hasn't been exceptional like he has, man. Duncan Robinson had 4 points, and he was playing out of his mind in the first couple of games. And then Tobias Harris has went under 20 points. So I think that they are figuring them out defensively. And the Cavs are the better team. I think they're starting to believe it. Like, we are better than them. And they're finally playing that way. They just got to find a way to do it on the road, which is something that they have not done. And it's funny because I heard an interesting stat yesterday. This is the closest or the furthest the Cleveland Cavaliers has gone in the playoffs without LeBron since LeBron has left.
Wow.
Like, so the series being 2-2. Because last year they were down to the Pacers 3-1 after 4 games. The year before that, they were down 3-1 to the Celtics. This is the first time that they've been 2-2 in the second round. So this is like a franchise-defining moment. This is a big game.
This could change everybody's opinion.
You
Yeah.
had concerns about them on the road,
Yeah,
though. So
yeah.
you think you figured out figured out how to be the better team on the road.
I think what the key. So as a former player myself, as a former athlete, professional athlete, I might add, I would always say that the key to road games is you have to start off fast. And if you've paid attention to the Cavs, they have not done that. They might have done it this last game, but they really have not started off fast. And the reason it's important for the road team to do that is because it takes the crowd out of it. And the crowd always, I don't care who you are, the crowd plays a factor into it because you feel the energy. Like if somebody comes and dunks on you, you feel demoralized because the crowd's going to make it worse than what it is. If you get them to sit down in their seats and be silent, now you just focusing on the game. And fast starts always is the key to that. So for the Cavaliers, that's what they need to do on the road. Detroit did a wonderful job doing it. They just couldn't withstand it for 4 quarters when they came to Cleveland. The Cavs got to find a way to get out early and maintain it for the rest of the game.
Yeah. We gotta get it. Just beat Detroit.
Just one time.
Just once. It's all we
They
need.
need to look at this as Game 7. Like,
Right,
Like,
yes.
don't
Yeah.
wait to Game
That's
7.
the
This is
spirit.
Game 7.
Yeah.
Like, if we get this done, we're going back to Cleveland. It's done. We're going to win in Cleveland for sure. This is the game.
This is
just
the
get it
game.
done. Just get it. Just one time. Just one road game. It's not that hard. Just one. All you need is Donovan to go for 39 in the first half.
That's all. That's all.
That's simple.
That's it. Oh, goodness. All right. Tyvis, appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
Always a pleasure.
I'll see you guys on Friday.
On Friday.
Where you will only have one day left.
I will. I will be here. So, all right. Jay Fox is coming up next. We are staying in the trend of education. We are talking the school voucher program. So, that's next. Fox, welcome in.
Thank you.
So, we've talked about it a lot. It's the state's Ed Choice program. It's a growing trend in a lot of states. Iowa just did more, expanded theirs further. But there's also a growing controversy amongst Ohio's. And it marked a big, I guess, a milestone in terms of where it stands in the court. Now, if you don't know what Ohio's Ed Choice program is, it is the state-funded, statewide school voucher system. It's managed by the Ohio Department of Education, and it allows K through 12 students to use public tax dollars to attend private charter school facilities.
Or parochial schools.
Or parochial schools,
Whatever you want to choose.
However you want to educate your student, those taxpayer dollars can go to that. The big question, there's a lot of questions still surrounding this, where it stands. The one I've got right off the top here is, how much is this costing?
Sure. So per student, and it depends upon what level grade you're at. If you are a kindergartner through 8th grader, you have $6,166 per year to work with per student. In the high school, that's grades 9 through 12, that bumps up to $8,408 per year.
What does it pay for? What does the money go to?
Well, it goes to tuition, but I wanted to know, okay, well, what if tuition isn't that much?
Right.
Can I use it for other things? The answer is no. No uniforms, no fees, no athletics, no band instruments. We're not buying a trombone with these funds.
It's just specifically tuition.
Correct. That's all it is.
And, this has been opened up to students really across the state. If your kid wants it, they can get it pretty much, correct?
Anybody can get it.
Yeah.
Therefore, when you use a word like unlimited, theoretically, everyone who attends public school in Ohio could opt out.
Yeah. And, give us an example here. I know there's more parochial schools certainly in city centers than there are out in the rural counties, but this has been a growing movement among, a wide swath of Ohio's population. Give us an example of who's taking advantage of this right now.
So I went to private school, but it's been years since I knew how much it cost. So I dug into St. Ignatius High School, which is in the Ohio City area of Greater Cleveland, and that is an all-male Jesuit Catholic school. How much does it cost? The base price alone, this is like going to a car dealership. The base model, $21,950 per year. So vouchers only cover a third of that.
Oh, and there's a lawsuit connected to this. There are folks who are very against vouchers.
Right. The group is called Vouchers Hurt Ohio, and it was filed by a coalition of over 300 public school districts in the state of Ohio, claiming that the voucher system is unconstitutional. They say the reason why is it creates a second educational system in the state. Furthermore, it undermines public school funding, and we've talked incessantly about almost every school district in the state of Ohio is having money problems right now. But it gets deeper than that. Now they're saying it directly funds religious sects, and the word sect, S-E-C-T-S, is concerning because it suggests pushing an ideology rather than just educating. It also violates church and state, according to this group. The separation fosters state-sponsored discrimination because private schools are not bound by the same laws and rules that public schools are.
And one thing, while I was still in Iowa, because the school voucher program became a thing there in my time there, is that we found that almost immediately after it was put into place, that these private schools raised their costs to continue to try to, at least in Cedar Rapids, there were a few parochial schools out there that wanted to remain elite. So in order to continue to keep a step back from being able to allow voucher families in, they raised their costs.
Which is a form of economic discrimination.
So where do things stand now in Ohio, and what's the next step?
So we're in the 10th District Court of Appeals. Oral arguments were made yesterday, and the Ed Choice program just continues to run until further notice, which means it will impact the 26-27 school year. What's going to happen next, Stacia, is a 3-judge panel sometime in the coming months will make a ruling. And then legal experts say that regardless of what that ruling is, it'll probably end up at the Ohio Supreme Court. And I did a little digging. I wanted to know, is Ohio the only state dealing with this? And the answer is no. 33 other states have voucher programs, and Florida, Wyoming, and Utah are in active litigation right now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's it is. The voucher debate has certainly grown nationwide at this point.
But 21 grand for school.
It's expensive.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. All right, Jay Fox, thanks so much for
Always
coming
a
in.
pleasure.
Coming up next, we are talking a program that gives high schoolers the chance to enter the fashion industry, but budget cuts are affecting how that can happen. The Columbus Fashion Alliance joins us next. Welcome back to The Big Picture. Yohanan Yogi Terrell joining us here from the Columbus Fashion Alliance. You are the executive director of this program. Now, you guys have this awesome program that goes on to give high school students the opportunity to get into the fashion industry. I mean, it is maybe a little known fact. Actually, I think it's well known at this point that Columbus has a huge hand in the fashion industry. I mean, what, the third largest?
Third largest, yes.
Yeah, so I mean,
third largest.
Yeah, so first off, before we get into kind of the nitty gritty of this program and what's going on, talk to me a little about the Columbus Fashion Alliance.
Yeah, well, kind of go back to your first point too, is Columbus is the third largest fashion industry in the country, and I think we can't, skip that, right? That's a big point. It's a over $9 billion a year industry in Columbus, Ohio. It's one of the largest employers in the city, top 5 employers, but huge economic impact on the city. And so that is one of the reasons why Columbus is so special and why fashion is a huge pathway for people. And that was really the reason why we even started this program, is because once we started to learn just how much impact the fashion has on the city, we, asked ourselves, how are we connecting the community to that industry? And so there's so many young people out there who are very eager and passionate about fashion, but a lot of those dreams will, taper down as they find no channels or no pathways to get into the industry. Many think that they have to live in LA or go to New York to get into the industry. Well, that's not the case here. And so we can change that. And it just starts with exposure. And that's what this program started about, was how can we start exposing them to the industry at an earlier age so that they can get on that pathway earlier and be, the next generation of the fashion industry here.
I think that's really exciting, because I think about myself in high school as being much more willing to take risks or be creative with
Right.
fashion, as opposed to now where there's kind of like, I don't know, and there's a news.
We're going to
there's
wear
a news
this
look.
very
Yes. So what do you think is unique about bringing high schoolers into this process to weigh in on fashion?
Well, there's a few things that it makes a difference. One is like you said, their minds are really still, they think boldly. They don't think in boxes. They're like, what can I create? And so in that creative space, when they're in that mindset, why not expose them to an industry where they can actually leverage all of that creativity, right? Actually learn some things and pair with that creativity and create a career for themselves. And, and that's the thing is that, especially youth from the inner city, they influence the industry, right? They create the trends, but how do we expose them to educate them so that they can be on the back end of that too, where they're actually being a part of the industry and seeing benefit from that as well. And that's what this program does. It's a very immersive program. It's called the Future of Fashion program. That's our big summer program. One of the biggest programs we've had. It was one of the first marquee programs we launched at the Columbus Fashion Alliance. And it does exactly that. It immerses them in the fashion industry. And beyond that, it really creates this community of young fashion leaders, right? And you think year over year, as we do this over and over, it's just creating this young group of fashion leaders who are going to take this industry into that next chapter.
Ooh, because iron sharpens iron. There we go.
Exactly,
I like that.
exactly.
And this program has been incredibly important, and it's evolved immensely since it was its first inception in 2020. But this year we are facing some big funding challenges when it comes to that. What is the consequence if this program stops or is pared back significantly?
The consequence really is less youth having the opportunity to get on that pathway, less youth having the opportunity to connect with others like them. One of the things that we hold dear about this program is when these young individuals come into our space, they are often, they see themselves as unique. They see themselves as like a one of one in their community. They're like, oh, it's just me. I'm that person that thinks outside of the box. But then when they come into this program, they meet other young people like them. And then you start to see, like, over the 9-week program, you start to see these relationships build, and you start to see their minds open up to where it's like, oh, I'm not different, right? There's a whole community of us here, right? And it gives them, the power to do that. So when you can't create opportunities like that, you don't give these young people the opportunity to thrive in that space, to discover what's inside of them and discover where their pathway is going to be. A lot of them don't know how to put language around what it is they're doing, and through this program, through this process, they end up doing that. So they say, hey, I'm really creative, but I don't know how to leverage that. And so we guide them in that process, and then they say, oh, wow, it's a designer or a technical designer or merchandising or visual merchandising. By the end of this program, they know what area they want to work in. They've met leaders that look like them in these same positions. They learned more about the industry. They know the technical knowledge of it all. They know how garments are made. They know how to price them. So they learn so much that it builds this confidence in them every year. And then most of these students end up going to college. And so that's really the impact, is how do we get more of these students on this pathway, especially in the third largest fashion industry in the city.
It's not just creativity, but the business of fashion.
Yes.
That's really important to figure out the pathway to make it your career. So what kind of support does the Columbus Fashion Alliance need to keep this program alive?
Yeah, well, we often reach out to the community to help support. And we've gotten great support from our civic partners, the city of Columbus, Franklin County. We've always got a lot of support from them, and we're doing amazing things. But the youth program is one of our marquee programs. And so we're reaching out to the community right now to say, help. This is a time for the fashion community to get behind us. This is a time for the community to get behind these kids because they need the opportunities. The summer is a great opportunity for them to, dive into something creative, to learn about themselves, to build those skills before school starts. And a lot of these kids need opportunities during the summer. And without that, what happens for them? What do they get to do? And a lot of those resources, we're not the only program that, is impacted by, budget cuts and things like that. So there's many summer programs that are being cut right now. And ours is one of the most impactful because we also create clothing and donate clothing to other students. Over 3,000 pieces of clothing get donated to students right before school starts through this program.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's many reasons that this program has, layers of impact for young adults. And so we're asking the community to help support this initiative by, donating to our summer program, our youth programming just in general as well, because they're the next generation of fashion, and this is the largest fashion city in the Midwest. And so we need to have that support. We need to be able to give people a chance to find their path.
All right. And this is a look right now at the Columbus Fashion Alliance's website, columbusfashion.org. You can go there to learn more about all of the work that they do, including the Future of Fashion program. Yogi, thanks so much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
All right. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. It is the season of events and everything really fun and awesome to do in Columbus. So, who we're talking with right now is Sarah Hyder, the Executive Director of Girls on the Run of Central Ohio. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
So, we are celebrating the culmination of the 10-week program, and that is with the big spring 5K that's this Saturday.
Sunday.
Sunday.
Yes.
Okay, this Sunday.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry.
okay.
So, what to kind of preface what leads up to this 5K? What is Girls on the Run Ohio?
Well, and that's the great thing is that so many people know about our 5K. That really is kind of what we're known for nationally. But there is so much work that the girls and the coaches are putting into getting ready for the 5K. So girls are meeting at schools all over Central Ohio and community centers with volunteer coaches who've been trained by us to facilitate a positive, inclusive environment. And they are working through our social emotional learning curriculum that integrates running, physical activity, all sorts of movement, ultimately helping them build confidence, resiliency skills, all of those sort of things to get them both physically and mentally ready for their first 5K. And of course, we see all of those skills translate far beyond and outside of the 5K too.
How do you speak to the message of physicality for mental health with young girls? Because it is important. It's all connected.
It is. It's all connected. And ultimately, the big thing that comes along with physical activity, and especially with Girls on the Run, is community. And so they're not only getting that physical benefit, but also getting the community to support them, their coaches, their girls. that is the biggest piece about that connection between physical activity. But making it accessible is extremely important to us as well. So Girls on the Run was actually mentioned in a report from the former U.S. Surgeon General about how we take all of the extra steps to try to make it accessible for girls. So that means meeting after school or at community centers where transportation is less of a barrier. And then we also work to provide shoes and sports bras, all of those sort of things, so that girls can feel confident and comfortable achieving and reaching their new goal of completing a 5K. And we recently had some fun comments back from coaches about some donations of clothing that we had, that they liked, that they felt like they were on a professional sports team because they all had these like matching shorts, and
Aww.
it really just kind of helped build that morale, and they feel invested in, and they feel very special.
Yeah, because go ahead.
I was going to say, because running is free, walking is free,
Yes.
but you do need some tools to do that,
Correct.
especially for young women out there. And
Absolutely.
that's important.
Yes, the tools are incredibly important. So creating that element of accessibility, and the tools go far beyond even the shoes and all of those sort of things too. Those tools of building confidence, building resilience. That's one of the beautiful things about running, is that you always get to try another day. You know, as myself as a runner, I sometimes go out and I'm like, wow, I did not do great today, but there's always tomorrow to start to reach that goal.
And there's still that boost that comes with just completing it.
Yes.
Of that, I did this. And of course, that kind of ties into some of that, I guess, that mental health aspect of it gives that confidence boost long term. And are these some of the impacts that you're seeing among some of these girls, that once we can show them that you can do this, that can push you on to the next thing?
Absolutely. And that all starts with our mastery climate that we provide. So we teach our coaches to tell girls to focus on the effort and to never focus on comparison as well. It's all an individual sport. You're cheering each other on, but you're all meeting your own goals. And we know in a mastery climate that girls are less likely to experience anxiety. They're more likely to try new things. And I think the most important thing is that they're likely to try new things, but also try again if they don't meet their goal. Part of our curriculum this spring is a YET shield, we call it. And there's 3 steps to the YET shield. So you essentially say what your goal is, and then you say, I can't run a half marathon yet. But I can. And then you follow up with the steps that you're taking to reach that goal.
Oh, that's a great lesson for all of us, really and truly. We all need that reminder to try again, and perseverance in general. So how can people get involved? Not just this weekend, but overall, you must have lots of different ways for people to connect.
Yes, we have many ways for people to connect. If people are interested in coming out and supporting the 5K, you can, of course, cheer our girls on, but you can also register to actually complete the run walk. It's a non-competitive 5K, so we also hear often that it might be people's first 5K, because it's such a welcoming space, and they know no matter what their result is, if they meet their goal or not, that they're going to be celebrated. So we encourage the community to register on our website to come run the 5K with us this weekend. But the number one way to be involved and make the biggest impact truly is to be a volunteer coach. The more volunteer coaches that we have, the more girls we can serve, and the bigger impact that is. So we'll start recruiting for our coaches right now, actually, for our fall season. Our website, all of the applications are on the website and up. So we'll start our fall season in September. So we're preparing for that.
We're looking at the website right there. Now, it's called Girls on the Run, but who can get involved? It's not just, you're not just looking for women to get involved as volunteers.
Absolutely. No, we have anyone can be a volunteer essentially for Girls on the Run who wants to come out and support the girls, support women. We do extensive training with all of our coaches, all of our board members. We give everyone the tools, just like we give girls some tools. We believe that our coaches also come to us with everything that they need and their experiences, whether you're a parent, a teacher, or a community member who has never necessarily been involved with girls. We truly believe that anyone can come and share their experience, share their life and their impact. And with our training, we prepare them to create that positive, inclusive environment.
And when we talk about that positive, inclusive environment, this has gone on for a while now. Do you have a story of one of these girls saying, hey, this is what this did for me?
Yes. One of my favorite stories is actually from a school, Gorsuch West. So we're in 8 counties, so we aren't just in Franklin County. But at Gorsuch West, a girl had just done the lesson called I Can Power, which is related to the Yet Shield. It's kind of the next step. So she has her I Can Power. And one of her coaches happened to be a teacher that is in the school building. And I believe the young girl was taking a math test. And she was kind of like, oh, like looked like she was like maybe struggling or frustrated or something. And the teacher went over to her and was like, are you doing okay? And she's like, yes, I'm just activating my I Can Power.
I love that.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
It also shows how truly the resilience skills and the power through it skills that you learn at Girls on the Run do translate into the classroom, into the homes, in the community, and beyond.
And that's so cool also because it's not just those skills they're learning, but the feeling of connecting all of those mind, body, spirit in everything that you do.
Yes, exactly.
How do you want people to know the impact this can make in our community, the wider impact?
We actually just released, our national organization released an alumni study that's showing the longer term impact. So we're turning 18 here in Central Ohio, and we've served over 23,000 girls. Our national organization is turning 30 this year, so they're able to do a very long term impact and talk to girls who are now in their 20s and hearing more about the impact that it is having on them. And one of the favorite statistics from that was something like 95% of girls can recall actually a very specific lesson that they learned at Girls on the Run that they still refer to in their mind. And so just knowing that those girls are still embodying those core values that we promote at Girls on the Run, like standing up for yourself and others, celebrating our strength in connectedness and in our differences, those resiliency skills, those confidence building skills, cheering each other on, not comparing each other. It just continues to flourish for a lifetime for the girls.
That is impact right there.
Oh, that's great. All right, Sarah, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
When we come back, we are talking, it is summer travel season. And of course, the state, with the gas prices being as high as they are, the state is encouraging you maybe to consider taking your vacation as a staycation right here in the state of Ohio. We'll talk about some of the fun, great things you can do here in the state. Now that I am fully aware that it is Wednesday, not Saturday, we do get to talk a little bit, though, about some of the great things you can do on your days off.
On the weekends.
Yeah.
And the summer. Which is not today, Collin.
Which is
just
not
to
today.
remind you.
So obviously we are all very aware that gas prices are a little steep, to say the least. We are coming down from close to $5, but they're still well into the $4 range. So one thing that the state of Ohio took advantage of, because yesterday at the State House was Ohio like Tourism Day.
Yes.
So they're along like pretty much all of the State House lawn. A bunch of people turned out.
Like the weather's perfect.
Right, the
Chamber
weather was
of Commerce
gorgeous,
weather
yes.
for Ohio Tourism Day.
Yeah.
Yes.
So with that, I mean, we had Marietta there, the Miami Valley, Hocking Hills State Park. All of these places come together to say, you don't have to break the bank to enjoy your summertime, that there is plenty to do in the state of Ohio.
It's a great reminder because we really do have a lot to offer here. I know Ohio, heart of it all, but it's really true. There's something for everybody here. And I'm always amazed when I hear about these little trips and things that you can take. And I think to myself, that sounds awesome. That sounds like something you would want to do on your road trip if you were, driving to see grandma in another state or something like that. And you see the sign for, the big peanut and you got to pull over and see it. We have those things here.
We do.
Not the big peanut, but you know what I mean.
We've got, there's a giant horseshoe crab.
The giant horseshoe crab.
What city is that in?
I've heard about this.
Yeah, Hillsboro.
I don't understand
I think
it,
it's
but I
Hillsboro.
love it so much.
Yeah.
I do. And so my favorite, and this is in town. So we mentioned earlier, I'm a Dublin mom, so I'm a Dublin girl. And one of the favorite things that I do when we have friends who come to town, that's how I kind of feel like it. Sometimes it's just fun to show people where you live, and you can be a tourist in your own town. So one of my very favorite things to do is to take a mini hike starting at Indian Run Falls in Dublin, sort of by the post office there in Dublin. You park there and you can walk. It's not even maybe a mile through this really pretty Ohio forest-like hike. Very easy hike. It's not hard. And then it spills out into historic Dublin. You can cross the bridge, get into Bridge Park, and we go for ice cream. That's one of the things that we do when we have people who come to town. We're like, we're going to take you on our ultimate Dublin views. So you can see the forest, you see the bridge, you see Bridge Park, and then you can walk back to the car. It's the perfect little activity.
And that's great. There's so the Metro Park system here is
just
fantastic. It's a great way to spend some time. And I mean, if you're looking to travel outside of the Columbus metro region, I mean, obviously if you're heading towards Cincinnati, you've got Loveland Castle that you can stop on the way there, which is this very English, like European feeling castle in Ohio. So I think that's actually part of my journey to Cincinnati next week.
Ooh, there you go.
Is to stop there.
And Hocking Hills are great too.
Oh, Hocking Hills is beautiful. You've got that one, Mohican State Park.
Mohican, yes.
Yeah.
But you're right about the metro parks right here in Columbus. I mean, every one of them is unique and offers something different from the last metro park that you saw. I've never lived in a community with such amazing metro parks.
No, and I mean, they give you the full range of urban park to very woodsy park. Like, I mean, you look at, you compare quarry trails, which feels still very city, to maybe High Banks, that you've got this just totally different feel. And
I use those as if it's going to be hotter, I'm looking for a little more shade, trails that I'm not out there baking in the sun.
Yes.
And if it's a cooler day, then you can go to one of those more open areas. We've got it all.
Yeah, we do. And then, I mean, you've got, for example, the one out in Blacklick that has that forest
yes,
bridge thing.
I still need to go there.
I do too. Because that opened 2 years ago now?
Yes.
Anyway, so there's so much to do here in the state of Ohio.
It's
that
true.
You can,
We're a big fan.
Yeah.
We're big fans.
And, that's the thing. It's you can go make a whole day out of finding different things in Columbus, for example. Hit up the art museum and then cross the street and go to the botanical gardens. And if you don't want to pay for the botanical gardens, just walk around Franklin Park. There's so much of that is free.
It's true. And I enjoy just going to the State House. I worked at the State House for WKYC, our sister station in Cleveland, last year, and got to know it a lot better. But before that, even, I brought my son into the State House just to check it out. It's a beautiful space. It's free to go in, and you can poke around. And we like to get candy from the peanut shop on the corner, and then just sit on the front steps of the State House.
Yeah,
it's just fun.
And that's me also with the library. I love Main Library in Columbus because it's a beautiful old building, but then I can spend hours because they've
so
always got those
special.
exhibits that you can sit and read as as kind of a museum nerd. I love it. So yeah, you don't have to look far, but if you're looking for things to do with the family, Kappa also has its summer movie
Oh yes,
series
let's talk about
at
this.
the
'cause
Ohio Theater.
We wanted to talk about it yesterday, and I started talking about Toy Story and got off the rails. Went off the rails. So Ohio goes to the movies, and the Kappa Summer movie series. There's so much for every person, any kind of style of movie that you love.
Yeah. I mean, and it's all different kinds. I mean, we have a lot of the classics in there. Casablanca is one of them. 1 week / month.
Spaceballs.
Yeah, it's a wide variety of movies, and you're going to get to see them inside the beautiful Ohio Theater.
It's so beautiful. Lee Daniels, The Butler. We're looking at, Coal Miner's Daughter. Romancing the Stone. There's something. Silence of the Lambs. There's something for everybody on this list.
Huh. I haven't
It's
seen
on the
Silence of the
list.
Lambs in forever. It
Yeah.
seems like an odd one. I don't know if I don't know. That's like obviously it was in theaters, but it's like I don't know if I would see that at the Ohio Theater.
That has a cult
It
following, though.
does.
People do love
It's
that
a
movie.
creepy movie.
I don't think I'm going to go to the Ohio Theater for that one. But,
yeah, but there's a lot of good ones on
Star
this
Wars
list this year.
Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Like, that would just be fun because it's been a long time since I've seen that movie. And then my son is a new Star Wars fan. What a cool experience to go to the Ohio Theater to watch Attack of the Clones.
I didn't start watching the Star Wars movies until late last year. It was the first time I saw any of them.
Any of them?
Any of them. Yeah.
Collin, I
So
learned something new about you
so
every single day.
I'm slowly now working my way through them in the order of release.
Yes.
I'm watching them from like
Okay,
the 70s
from
to
episode
now.
4
Not yet.
start, okay.
Not from
From episode 1.
right.
Yes.
Right. We're doing it in the
Okay, you're
release
doing it
order.
in the proper order.
Yeah. So, and I do like them. They are good.
They're
So,
very entertaining, and that's something for the whole family.
Right. So, yeah. So, that all being said, if you can't find something to do that you're going to enjoy, you're not looking hard enough.
It's right there. And maybe you can do it this weekend because, again, it is Wednesday, just as a
Yeah.
reminder to this guy right here.
And it's going to be nice this weekend. It's going to be
Yeah.
warm. We're back in the 80s. So, all right, that's it for us here. We'll see you back on Thursday, tomorrow at 9.